tonight on Focal Point.
Today we're having a vigil to remember Savita Halappanavar.
Savita was denied an access to abortion, and it effectively killed her. And so there's a growing mood for change in the laws north and south. There's more and more groups of activists and campaigning groups from all across the country coming up and standing up and saying there should be a change in the law, and I think people here today want the same thing.
I was really giving the staff an idea of what to be able to look out for, the signs that somebody might be feeling down, but importantly, how to talk to the person, do you know what I mean, rather than ignoring them. We all have an opportunity to smile. We all have this opportunity to talk to people. We all in the community can make a difference. We can save lives.
So we put on all these activities, not only just for the kids to come along, but for parents and grandparents to interact with their kids. As you can see, it's all parents in the background here working along with their kids. They create pumpkins, they decorate buns, go and listen to storytelling and things like that. So that interaction is important for us.
Today we're having a vigil to remember Savita Halappanavar, who died 3 years ago in Galway. She died from a miscarriage and a resulting infection. Her treatment was delayed because of the 8th Amendment. Doctors weren't willing to act as they thought they'd be breaking the law.
What had happened was she was 17 weeks pregnant and she went to the hospital. They told her then that her cervix was dilated and that she was miscarrying. So 2 days later she was still miscarrying. They had told her that it would have been over in a matter of hours. But yet 2 days later she was still miscarrying. That was when she asked, the first time she asked for an abortion, and she was told that there was still a fetal heartbeat, so it wasn't possible. The following day she asked again, and the infamous words were muttered that this is a Catholic country, so she couldn't have one. She was in hospital a week by the time she finally died. It's been stated by numerous doctors that had she have been given an abortion when she initially asked, there's a very high chance that she wouldn't have died.
Women want access to safe and legal abortions, and currently north and south the law doesn't provide that for women.
Can you tell us what the abortion laws in Ireland are and how they differ to those in Northern Ireland?
Laws in Northern Ireland are quite restrictive as well. The laws in Ireland are different because in the Constitution the 8th Amendment affords the same rights to, in their words, the unborn child as the mother. So a pregnant woman has no more or no less rights than the fetus. So this restricts medical practitioners, because basically in Savita's case, because the fetus had a heartbeat, they weren't able to act. Because the fetus had the same rights as Savita did. In Northern Ireland, abortions are only available in very limited circumstances. If there's serious, long-term or permanent risk to the life or health of the mother. Following the guidelines, the draft guidelines that were issued by Stormont, medical practitioners in Northern Ireland are very reluctant to act as well. There's a chill factor that's been referred to. Last year there was less than 30 abortions carried out in the NHS in Northern Ireland, in spite of 1,000 women at least travelling to England to access abortion. Abortion's not legal in Northern Ireland in the cases of rape, incest or fetal abnormality. The difference being in Ireland it's in the Constitution, which will require a referendum to change.
If you're a woman who's got enough money, got enough wealth, then you might be able to fly out of Ireland and get an abortion somewhere else. But if you don't have that, then you're not able to have that access to service. And also, in Savita's case, shows that if women don't have access to safe and legal abortions, then it can result in tragic cases like Savita, where the mother's life is put in severe risk and actually can result in the worst case scenario in death. And if it's illegal, then it just drives it underground and forces women into more dangerous, precarious and unsafe conditions and positions, really. Whenever
that option's not there, particularly if you're a migrant woman who can't travel, or someone in the direct provision centres down south who can't travel, you're in a desperate position. But even someone who wishes to continue with their pregnancy, so long as the 8th Amendment is in place in the south, a pregnant person has no bodily autonomy or control over their body, and it's the doctors who make all the decisions.
The Alliance for Choice that are here today, they're hoping to extend the 1967 Abortion Act. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically that's to make abortion safe and legal for women who want and need access to it. And I think it's something that women have a right to have. Abortion is about women having a say over their own bodies and having the choice and making decisions over their own reproductive organs. And that's what people today are saying, that Savita was denied an access to abortion, and it effectively killed her. And so there's a growing mood for change in the laws, north and south. There's more and more groups of activists and campaigning groups from all across the country coming up and standing up and saying there should be a change in the law. And I think people here today want the same thing, want a change in the law for women to have access to abortion.
Stormont has it within its power to do this, but the petition of concern is being used to block it any time it comes up. Almost 70% of people in Northern Ireland, when polled by Ipsos Mori, want change. The politicians at the minute just aren't acting on it.
Polls after poll has shown that they're on the wrong side of history. Public opinion is not with them.
We're joined today by Philip McTaggart, the founder of PIPS and the manager of Main Skills Training and Coaching. And we're here to talk about an initiative that's taking place in North Belfast to help staff in 2 local bars spot the signs of depression. Philip, first of all, thanks very much for coming in and being with us today.
Thank you very much for asking me.
So just first of all, can you give us a background? I mean, where did the idea for this initiative come from?
Well, it actually came from the bar manager of the Chester, which is Jared Quinn. And Jared had an idea that many people would come into the bar, and sometimes some of them would be feeling sort of down. And I was really giving the staff an idea of what to be able to look out for, the signs that somebody may be feeling down, but importantly, how to talk to the person, do you know what I mean, rather than ignoring them, which we all sort of more or less do. Sometimes when we see someone coming into a bar on their own, maybe they isolate themselves, sit in a corner, and maybe we just think, oh, they're in to have a quiet pint. But maybe they're going over maybe difficult times, maybe problems that they're having, especially as we come towards Christmas. And I suppose it's just in a way just to be polite, to turn around and ask, and how's things with you, how's things today, are you keeping okay? An important issue in all this is being able to listen. And you see, we're not good at listening because we always have our own story to tell, and we're good at butting in when someone's trying to tell us something really important. And during the training, what we encourage people to do is let the person speak for 80 to 90% of the time without interrupting. Let the person talk, let the person tell what it is maybe that's going on in their life, because maybe they're glad for the first time somebody maybe has taken an interest in them, is prepared to listen and sit. That's all people want, someone to listen. But we're not good at seeing the signs, and that's what's really important. And we do know that people sometimes feel that when they're having a difficult time, for many people they think that drink's going to help or it's going to dull the pain in some way, but unfortunately all it does is create more pain, because the drink in itself is a depressant. It makes them feel worse, particularly when they're on their own, because they haven't got anybody to talk to or to sound off to or to get some guidance from. And many people, sadly, who have had a lot of drink, who have had difficult issues to deal with, life issues, have ended their own lives. And that's where we want to combat. We want to be able to make sure that people can talk to people. This issue, Kieran, is not just mine. It's everyone's issue. What we're trying to do is make life a bit better and keep the community safer by being able to recognise when somebody's in a lot of pain.
Obviously, I mean, North Belfast in particular has been very badly affected by mental health issues, especially suicide, over the past 15 or 20 years. I mean, has there been a community response, do you think? Do you think more and more people are trying to find ways to deal with this issue in their own communities?
Absolutely. And there's no doubt that we are breaking down the barriers towards mental health and the stigma, but there's still a long way to go. In fact, there was a report that came out just there in March which stated that the suicide rate in deprived and socially disadvantaged communities had trebled in the last number of years. We don't always hear when a suicide is taking place because it's sort of quiet, but believe you me, suicides are happening day and daily. They're happening to young men and young women and the elderly, which people don't even sometimes think about. The suicide rate in the elderly has doubled in the last 10 years. That's devastated families. That's families who are broken because they don't know why that individual has ended their life. The question why is something that always continually comes up, and it's heartbreaking and it destroys families. But not only the family, it will destroy a community, it will destroy neighbours, it will destroy friends, because everyone is walking about thinking, if I only could have seen something, if I only had said something, or why didn't I just recognise that there was something wrong, and I maybe, just maybe, had been able to help that person. So we're working hard to combat the issue, to encourage people to be able to recognise when something's wrong.
And so as part of this training, I mean, what are the kind of signs that you would ask people to look out for?
Well, when someone, for instance, all of a sudden starts just to talk about suicide or death, particularly if it's a younger person, and we got to be curious of why they're talking about that. And one of the other signs that people give when they're thinking about ending their life is that they will give things away. Now, not things that are worth maybe a lot of money, but maybe precious to them. And some people will give watches away, some people will give photographs and different things away, maybe things that their parents have given them, things that before. We've even had people who have given dogs that they have had from a pup, and they give them away. And sometimes we just take these things without even thinking and without even saying, why are you now giving this to us? And people do that because they want someone to look after that. They want to make sure it goes into good hands. Sometimes people will call on people, and it's their way nearly of saying goodbye. And, you know, people do isolate themselves. This is really difficult for me when I think about my young son when he ended his life. People do tell people when they're thinking about ending their life. And there's now evidence that shows that people have told somebody in the year before they've died. And what I would ask your viewers, one simple question: if someone was to ask you, or to say simply, my life's not worth living, what would your reaction be to that? What would you say to that person? Because I know the vast majority of people would say something like, of course it is. Pull yourself together, catch a grip, ways up, things like that. And that's when we know where people are trying, when they're throwing the message out, because they want us to grab that, and they want us to simply ask, what do you mean your life's not worth living? Do you want to talk about it?
With this scheme, it started with these two bars, the Chester and the Lansdowne. Is it something that you'd like to see expand now that it's kind of gotten off the ground like this?
Yes, we'd also like to move this forward towards taxi drivers, and also towards hairdressers and barbers. People are more likely to talk to strangers than talk to family members sometimes.
There is still a challenge where people suffering from depression may not necessarily recognise that they are suffering from depression as well.
Absolutely. This is one of the hardest things to try and get people to understand. When a person is suffering from depression, they don't know that they're suffering from depression. They think everything's okay, because sometimes and it's a strange way, because I remember it myself after my young lad died, that you become happy in your own sadness in a sense, and sometimes we have to encourage it. Take someone to tell somebody, I think maybe you're suffering from depression, have you noticed this is what you are doing? The reaction that you're going to get back sometimes is not what you often expect, because someone's going to tell you how they feel about you, and how dare you even suggest that they're suffering from depression. So a person may not be in the right frame of mind, or may just not be ready to accept that they're suffering from depression. But the very fact that we have brought the issue up is something that we have to do, because sooner or later that person will realise that something is not right. In my own case, I have to say, after my young lad died, I did fall into depression. I didn't realise where grieving ended and where depression came into play. For me, I had been told a number of times that I was suffering from depression, and I didn't believe it. I suppose I didn't want to believe it. I just was happy where I was, in this sadness. And I suppose in a way you just have, it's self-pity too, do you know what I mean? Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why is all this going wrong for me? And one of the things also that impacted upon me was the fact that, because people don't understand sometimes, that we transfer our trauma onto our other family members, like our children and like maybe our spouse, to our family and friends, and they pick up all these negative reactions, negative traits that we have, and sometimes our children copy that. And that was a big thing for me, which then pushed me to getting help. And I have to encourage your viewers, because this is something that's really important, because I've heard this many times where people have went to see a counsellor, and they haven't made a connection with the counsellor, and so therefore they left and they says, counselling's not for me, they can't help me, it's useless. Could I just say, it took me 3 counsellors before I met someone that I actually made a connection with. The lady that I met changed my life, and I actually had seen that lady for over a year, and one of the things that helped me was the fact that to realise that I wasn't going mad, that I was just unwell. That's it. All I had to do was step in and accept that I was unwell, get the help, and come out the other side. The vast majority of people who suffer from depression can come out the other side and they become stronger. That's my belief. We become stronger because we can step in to help other people, because now we know the signs, we know what it feels like to be in that situation, and therefore we can help people. And I have developed training, I have been able to talk to people about it. So what I'm saying to people is, don't give up on your first or second attempt. Make sure you connect with the person that you want to work with. But it doesn't sometimes have to be a counsellor. It could be your wife, it could be your partner, it could be a good friend, it could be someone that you can just talk to, who you can talk to in confidence. But what I would say to any friend out there, if you know someone who is talking to you and they have told you that they're thinking about ending their life, I would say to them, please don't keep that a secret. I know that you're probably thinking you're doing your friend a favour by not telling anyone, but you're not. You need to tell someone.
When it comes to dealing with depression, and when that starts moving on towards suicidal ideation and so on, I think for a lot of people, I would imagine like they're of the opinion that this is a matter for doctors, for counsellors, for mental health professionals. But for yourself, what do you see as being the role of the wider community in helping to tackle this problem of depression?
Professional people, we have this thought that they're the only people that can help reduce the issue of suicide or depression, and that's a myth. The fact is that we all have a role to play. Any one of us can help save a life. And in my training I talk about the man, for instance, who simply left a note and ended his life. And when the police opened it, it simply said, if one person smiles at me, I'll not jump. Right? We all have an opportunity to smile. We all have this opportunity to talk to people. We all in the community can make a difference. We can save lives.
Well, Phil, thank you very much for coming in and speaking with us about this issue today.
And thank you very much, Ken, for asking me.
This is basically part of our National Parents Week activities, and this is the Autumn Fair, which is sort of the big kick-off to it. We've a whole series of events on all week, not the 4 days. We have storytelling tonight and calling allotments, but this would be the main one. As you can see, it's a bit mental at the minute with all the pumpkin carving and clay crafts and decorating buns and everything else that's going on, so it gets the public to come together. It gets all the families within the area coming together and interacting with each other, and they'll do all these programmes all week. And then the whole idea is at the end of the week then we'll finish off on Halloween night with Colin's Family Fright Night in Cluna House.
This is an intergenerational event for Parents Week in the Colin area. We are icing buns with the young children and senior citizens together. So we do a lot of intergenerational work in this community, and that's what's today. This is part of Parents Week.
And do you think that there's enough going on, those type of activities in this community, or would you like to see more?
There's loads of activities planned for this community, and it takes months to organise and plan, and we have all different agencies involved, but it's mainly called Neighbourhood Partnership who manage it, who arrange it and who plan it, and then everybody else comes on board, and they do lots of stuff for the community.
Mid-term break, it's always difficult for parents and grandparents to find stuff for the kids to do, particularly because parents don't get a mid-term break, unfortunately. Grandparents will be left with the grandkids, kids getting agitated, dark nights and things like that. So we put on all these activities, not only just for the kids to come along, But for parents and grandparents to interact with their kids, as you can see, it's all parents in the background here working along with their kids to create pumpkins, to decorate buns, to go and listen to storytelling and things like that. So that interaction is important for us, considering it is a Parents' Week programme, you know.
We're here just to do some pumpkin carving with the kids just after school. It will come every year, so.
And do you think activities like this are great for kids, especially coming up to Halloween, Christmas?
Absolutely. We don't buy our own pumpkins anymore. We come here every year just to do it here. I've been doing it for the last 3 or 4 years now, and this is my neighbour's wee girl as well, so she's come with us too.
Well, to mission Sean you leis na páistí fanyan last spree, cunim with the counter show so to share dog well le hedge touch mama. Agus synart demactic touch mama and shot or skilliac, agus an alline, agus Johnny Pumpkin, so my he's in shot to mock them the cookblin, they took a tree blin a day, shook us and bobby. Some would share come away and you find your last spree of Elgin Day, Hina.
And she'll do go a land ruddy marshoy gallery, you know, the communities I like them ruddy and much will nice modi.
She'll go in the Arctic touch mama Emlena Kate Miramar, Bim Sidragar and Lee Roger Johnny Shackajay Terrified in a Pashti, August to Cudge wore a Macti and Shackton Shore Fad, so Gaklan Shackton Shaw to Rod and Shack to Emakta Kenya Leg and Planal Chuggin, Ogin Leveg Frasteller, so to Shane to her Fad the Fackle.
So do you think events like this keep children like, you know, active, engaged during periods like midterm break where it must be difficult for parents because they're off and there's still a lot to do?
Yeah, well, as a parent myself, I know it's hard to keep the children occupied and entertained and they get bored very easy, so having things like this is just fantastic because if you're off work yourself, of course you can take your child to it, but a lot of childminders, grandparents, they all get involved, and if you're passing out flyers or pass the word around, you always get all kinds of people turning up, so yeah, it's definitely great that they have this for them.
So do you think it's very important that people are able to access the arts in communities like this?
Yes, most definitely. In a lot of these communities, people don't get the opportunity to actually work with an artist or be in areas and places where art events are happening, maybe more city centre based. So the fact that community artists can come into these areas and maybe give children and families the opportunity to work with artists that have never had that experience before, you know, if they benefit from that, then we've done something right.
We're actually in our 9th year, believe it or not. Every year we get stronger and stronger with them, put on more activities. You can't keep up with demand, basically, as you can see in the background. National Parents' Week has been going a very long time, and that's usually the week previous to what we would run Parents' Week. We run ours because it's on the run up to Halloween, and we want the Halloween night to be our finale for it. So there's a long history with it. But again, as I say, it's the importance of Parents' Week is about bringing people together and interacting with each other. This area in particular is a population of 30,000 people. There's no actual physical structures, amenities that you would see. If you take the likes of Newry and Ballymena, they have a population of 30,000 people and they're cities. So they have all the amenities, the leisure and everything like that. We don't have that. We don't have that luxury within the Colin area. So we need to find ways that parents can come together and interact with each other. And again, children can interact with each other. And the way of doing that is activities like this.
And tell me about some of your memories of Halloween when you were younger. What would your typical Halloween have been?
Probably dressing up as a witch and going round the doors and singing. And just singing out stupid songs and hoping I would get money instead of an apple.
Agus nuair swinine tú siar nuair a bhí tú óg, cén cinne leithí an ihe haine?
A gcónaí leis an teula agus na tinti álainne na cluichí sa te, gach bháil na hansí na huncail gach duine heart, you know, ar an te sa bhí séar dá.
So can you tell me when you were younger what the typical Halloween night was for you?
It was suit and black bin bag, that's what it was.
And when you think of Halloween this year, what do you look forward to the most?
The grandkids.
Grandkids?
The grandkids. But it's designer costumes now, which is not Halloween.
Yeah.
And it was turnips, not pumpkins. That's American now, you see. Isn't that right?
That is.
American.
Yes, that's absolutely
right. Right, girl? American style now.
Halloween was always very important in my home. My mum and dad always tried to make it very scary, and there was a lot of decorations and the usual ducking for apples and things. But my family were very much from country, so there was a lot of like baking the apple pies and hiding the money in, all the wee traditional things. And I've tried to keep that going myself in Halloween, so I continue to do that with my own children.
And now, tomorrow's weather.